This is Coach's Corner.
Welcome, Commodore fans, to Coach's Corner, a production of Gulf Coast State College. Today, Coach Powell will talk about how the last two panel conference games went for us and what we got coming up this week. And so right now, the Commodores 15-5 overall, Coach, 1-2 in the panel conference, ranked 7th in the state coaches poll, and in the NJCAA receiving votes. It's been a long time since we've seen anything in the NJCAA poll as far as for Gulf Coast for the Commodores on the men's side.
Yeah, I think it's been 3 years since we've been in the poll. Obviously, that's nice. I don't really think that the people that make the decision on the NJCAA poll have much knowledge of, the teams throughout the nation. If you're in Florida, how many times have you really watched a junior college team in Wyoming play? But anyway, that's part of it. But it's nice to be in there and have our institution listed, in the poll as receiving votes. 15-5. We've had a good first 20 games. We want to have a good last 9 games of the regular season. And state coaches poll at number 7. We'll continue to fight and see where it goes with that. But right now, the most important thing is our conference record. We'll get to each game specifically, but we're 1-2. We go on the road this week to play Pensacola, so the men will have to really be ready Wednesday night because road wins have proven to be, very hard to come by on the women's side and the men's side. Right. So here we go.
Here we go. So last week on January 10th, we traveled over to Tallahassee. Now Tallahassee is a very good basketball team, and they defeated us 73-59. But as that game started, it was kind of a lot like the Chipola game. The men hung around and kept doing that. But we were playing without Jeremy Harris. So let's talk a little bit about that game, Coach, and how it unfolded.
Well, we went over to Tallahassee. The men battled. We were down 4. They probably moved up this week, but they're at least the number 6 team in the nation. So the men battled. We were down 4 at the half. I liked where we were. We needed to take care of the ball a little bit better in the second half. And we came out in the first 2 minutes of the second half and we cut the lead to 1 and did some nice things. Then, unlike the game before, the men did not handle adversity as well as we would hope. And we all have to work on that and do better. From Tuesday night to Saturday night, we didn't see any growth. And so the last couple days in practice, we're trying to see growth in handling adversity. They ended up getting us by 14. Really, and most of that was in between the 17.5, 18-minute mark of the second half and about the 9-minute mark. About the 9-minute mark until the end of the game, we played very competitively with them, with TCC as well. But we had a 9 or 10-minute stretch there where we didn't look as good as we need to. We turned the ball over way too often during that spell. And then we also defensively did not get out onto their shooter, number 32, Winston. He had 7 3-pointers, 4 of which were in that time period, in that 8 or 9-minute time period in the second half. And to win road conference games, you're going to have to lock people up a little better than giving one man 7 3-pointers. If they make 1 or 2, then you've got to close out tighter. You have to be there on the catch, maybe even go denial on a man. And we weren't able to adjust to get out there as quickly as we needed to on him. So good job by him for making shots. And then also TCC has the toughest player in the conference, Simmons, number 11 for them. David's a fine player, very competitive. He's very competitive and a fine player because he's a 6'2.5" or 6'3" power forward in the Panhandle Conference. But he just gets stuff done. And so he's somebody that had 20 points and 5 rebounds against us. But a good learning point right there with David playing so well in that Tallahassee game. I hope, and I think it was a good learning point for Will Robinson. I felt like in our first game, Will was as good as any forward on the court. And then in the Northwest Florida game, the only position that we won, the only position that we had a player that performed better than Northwest Florida State's player was Will Robinson at that forward spot. They outmatched us at each position Saturday. So 2 out of the 3 games as a freshman, Will has performed at a high level, and hopefully playing against David Simmons allows him to see how much he needs to do, but also what he's capable of with toughness and hard work. So proud of Will, even though that game maybe was just a learning point for him. Dashane Murphy offensively scored some points, but I think he ended up having 8 turnovers, so we got to have a little bit better from our point guard. He did have 7 assists, but we've got to have a little bit better taking care of the ball. And then Dontavius Marshall, our other point guard, had 11 points in that Tallahassee game. So a few bright spots. We had 1 day of practice without Jeremy. I wish we could have, if they played on Wednesday as everyone else, maybe we'd have had 2 practices without Jeremy. Maybe that would have helped us. But that's excuses. They had a team, went out and played. We had a team, we went out and played, and they beat us.
And so we've got to talk about Londell King. He had 11 points. That's kind of like a homecoming game for him, with him playing in Tallahassee in high school.
Londell King and Van Johnson both, both from Tallahassee. In that Tallahassee game, give credit to Londell King especially, but then also Raquel Smoot. They won the post position for us in that game. The position that we shined and did nicely was the center position, post position. I don't know if our guys are true centers, but Raquel and then especially Londell in his homecoming game there in Tallahassee both played very well.
Then it was good to see that he had fans there and posters and all kind of stuff, and I thought that was kind of neat. So, and then we had Northwest Florida State College at home, and lost to them 103-70 in a game that pretty much anything Northwest Florida shot fell in.
Yeah, and again, when we discuss these, never do I want to come across as not giving our opponent credit for the great things they do. Of course, we respect and we know that the level of competition that we play is outstanding, and the coaches and the players do a great job at the other institutions. I was disappointed in how we defended Saturday, especially once they got up maybe about 14 or 15 points. We did not continue to compete and continue to battle. I think that a lot of people reasonably ask, or think, man, Coach probably wasn't very happy. Coach was angry. We kept the guys in the locker room, but I told the coaches we're not going to yell. We're not going to scream at the men. We're going to be very honest with them Saturday night, and we were after the game, mainly because of the lack of competitive spirit. And, that's something that in life, if you're a businessman, we talk to the guys. If you're a businessman, you're not going to get every deal. If you're a car salesman, you're not going to sell a car every time someone walks on the lot. But you can compete, and you can work your rear end off for it, and you can give your best. And in that second half, we did not do that against Northwest Florida. So we brought them in. I would guess less than 5 times in the 10 years I've been here as the head coach have we practiced on a Sunday. And I don't guess we really practiced, but we brought the men in at 4 p.m. on Sunday afternoon. We spoke to them for a while, and then we ran 33 suicides, 32 seconds each. Actually 40 seconds each, and then they had 20 seconds rest, and the clock ran. They had to make their time for 33. And I explained to the men, yes, this is some punishment, but it's not punishment because of the number 33. This is punishment because I want my men to represent us, to represent me, to represent themselves most of all, with great competitive spirits. And we didn't do that. But now practice yesterday was lively and very competitive. And so I'm looking forward to practice today. And then we'll go out and hopefully have that fire burning for the entire game against Pensacola.
Because if we look at that game in halftime, it's 49-41. So right there in it. But in the second half, they scored 54, we scored 29. And that's what Coach is talking about. Afterwards, they just kind of stopped playing. And, and sometimes, when coaches run folks, they think, ooh, that's bad. But sometimes that builds mental toughness. That's the only way to build mental toughness and that fight and drive that you got to have in a game when things are not easy or going your way. So
yeah, it's a great point. There wasn't yelling and screaming on Sunday either. It was we had to toughen up. We got to toughen up. You got to fight through adversity.
So Will Robertson, you talked about it a few minutes ago, scored 22 for us, and Murphy had 15 in that game. But like you said, Will Robertson, he was one that I saw as we were calling the game that just kept trying to play and battle and battle and play till the buzzer went off.
Yes, he did. I was proud of him. I told him, said he's in a good spot as a forward in the Panhandle Conference. He's a freshman. He's had 3 games, and 2 of the 3 games he's won his position. And so that's good news for him. He needs to continue to develop his toughness, to continue to develop his defensive acumen, but he's doing a good job for us, and I'm proud of Will.
So if we look quickly at the Raiders side, Edwards led their scoring with 23, and then followed by Rodriguez with 20, and then several others with double digits. But those 2 men played for Northwest Florida.
You're exactly right. Darrell Edwards had a really nice game. We really didn't have much of an answer for him defensively. We'll worry about it when we get there. I'm not for sure what we'll do next time against him. Rodriguez, he had a great game, 16 points and 6 rebounds in the first half. That was a focus and a toughness thing. After playing so well on Tuesday, our post guys didn't match Romy Rodriguez's toughness. Number 11 right there for Northwest Florida. So we're going to have to get some consistency where men play tough and physical and dialed in every night out.
Every night out. And now we want to remind the Commodore fans, Tallahassee, the new poll hadn't come out. Last poll was ranked number 9 in the country. Northwest Florida State's ranked number 18th in the country. That shows how hard it is to play in the Panhandle Conference against what we have. Now, Wednesday night we go, to Pensacola. They're 0-2 in the Panhandle Conference. They're going to be at home, and usually our games with them turns into overtime games. So what do you expect, Coach?
Well, they'll be ready for us. Their point guard, he is playing very, very well. And then, of course, we know that they have Curry that shoots the 3 and as strong as an ox and athletic, returning from last year. And then they have Kenai Coles, man from Baltimore, actually grew up around Will Robinson. So that's very, very good. So those 3 guys especially, they have other very good players, but of late those 3 men have really been playing good basketball. At this point, 0-2, they've played Northwest Florida and Tallahassee. So no shame in really being 0-2 if you're where Pensacola is. They get us at home 2 times this year. We'll go over there. It's a long bus trip to just go for a couple hours, be in the gym for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then hoop. The men will have to be up to the challenge. I like our preparation yesterday. Hopefully today will be good, and we'll be totally devoted to the cause tomorrow night. So
if we quickly look at the Panhandle Conference race, Tallahassee Community College 3-0, Northwest Florida State College 2-0, Gulf Coast 1-2, Chipola 0-2, and Pensacola State College 0-2. So right in the middle of the pack, Coach.
We are, and we're going to fight and work as hard as humanly possible to get up in to at least one of those top 2 spots, if not the top spot.
So, and we'll carry that game, Commodore fans, on WKGC 90.7 FM and HD tomorrow night from Pensacola State College. So for Coach Jay Powell, I will be right back, Commodore fans, with Coach Rooney Scovel and talk about the Lady Commodores. Welcome back, Commodore fans. Coach Scovel and I now will talk about how the Lady Commodores did in 2 big Panhandle Conference games last week and a big Panhandle Conference game this week, but truthfully, all the Panhandle Conference games will be big. So Lady Commodores right now, 19-1, 2-1 in the Panhandle Conference, ranked number 1 in the state coaches poll, ranked number 1 in the NJCAA national poll. So as you heard through there, Lady Commodores picked up their first loss when we traveled over to Tallahassee last week and played a very good Tallahassee Community College. Lost 89-78, Coach.
Yeah, I think we've kind of got a little complacent about, what people can do. And, like I said, we had won so many games by, such a large margin, no matter what we did at practice, to say, it's coming, and I don't think we're ready, and I don't think we're getting ready to try to eliminate the number of times people can score against us. And so our practice really wasn't very good, and we went over there and we didn't play well. We kind of mentally and emotionally, they kind of jumped on us. But as bad as we played and as unsettled as we played, we were still right in that game up until to the bitter end, basically. And then there was an offensive rebound and a foul on that kind of separated us from 2 to 5, and seemed like it was that was the defining moment. But it was time. I think it's probably a good thing. You don't ever think losing is good, and if we don't get enough wins to get the state tournament, obviously it won't be. But I think it made us refocused on some things we have to do as a team and as a group. So if it made us get started on that now, and hopefully in another month we'll get better and we'll continue to get enough wins to try to qualify. So, at the end of the day, maybe it's a good loss.
And Commodore fans may not understand that, but really the young women in preseason had beaten teams by 20 and 30. And then we had a big game against Chapolo. This is a team you got to beat, and we beat those. So they get in their mind to thinking that what else is left? And like you said, with that loss, now they know what else is left. All 12 games will be a battle. Yeah. Nobody in the panel conference on the women's side has picked up a victory on the road.
No.
They've all been home wins. So, so it's going to be interesting. And like you talked about, at the end of the first quarter, it was 23-24. Mm-hmm. And then at halftime, we were tied because we both scored 15 apiece in the second. And then in the third quarter, it was a 2-point game.
Right.
But then they scored 24-16 in that fourth quarter. And you said, we saw the separation there a little bit. And we have to give credit to Wilson for the Lady Eagles. Scored 29 points. I think 29. Yep, 29 points.
Yeah, we've had a struggle. The first 2 games we struggled guarding the top of that offense, and Barbara Johnson scored 30 in the 30s on us, and then L'Oreal turns around and scores 29. So, we knew that was something that we really, really needed to work on, is our pressure defense up top, and we just can't keep letting them drive in the lane and penetrate. So, after that loss, we did go to work, and doesn't mean it's fixed, but we definitely had a different effort and a different attitude about trying to defend on-ball defense. So hopefully as it's still going to be a work in progress. We didn't fix it overnight. We got a good win on Saturday against Northwest, but like you say, nobody's won on the road, and we're getting ready to go on the road against a team that scored 100 on Tallahassee. So, we've just got to mentally, you've got to stay in it, and that's going to be hard. Whoever wins this thing in the Panhandle, or whoever qualifies, probably the team that can stay the most disciplined and the most focused and on task and fight the adversity, because every night out you're going to be challenged with some unique qualities of the opponent. So we'll see.
And if we look at our side, Bennett came off the bench with 22. Taylor Emery put up 17 for you, still putting up her numbers. And Edwards had 14 points for us.
Well, when you score 78, back in the day, that certainly would have won the game in the Panhandle, and probably would have won it by 20. And now you're sitting here saying, if you're not in the 80s or 90s, you're probably going to get beat 20. So the offensive abilities of every team, the play, the physical talent is tremendous, and just so diverse. Every team is diverse. It's not just one or two. They can all score. So. The scores are going to be pretty interesting in the Panhandle play.
And so, and one last thing on Tallahassee before we move on. Their pressure defense was just, they extended Our Lady, because they were still trying to adjust to that kind of pressure, because it's hard to practice against that kind of pressure. Because you can't.
Yeah, we handled that pretty well. I think we just didn't hit shots. When you look at the stats, team versus team, they out-rebounded us a little bit, and they definitely got on the offensive board. We didn't do a good job at defensive rebounding, but at the end of the day, it was just shots. They made more shots. So if it was just one category, that's really pretty good. If you're not having to fix, 8 or 10 different categories, then you're all right. Next time we just have to shoot better, and we have to prepare better, and we have. We've come back with a different mentality, and we'll see.
Well, and like you talked about, we played Saturday night. We had Northwest Florida over, and we defeated them 99-55.
Yeah.
And you could see vast improvements and adjustments, and a real wake-up call for the Lady Commodores and the way they play.
Yeah, we did. We were on a mission, and you know, so it's good to see that we didn't just fold after taking a loss, and we didn't lose our confidence. We went back to work and tried to get back to playing Lady Commodore basketball and play with some swagger, and you know, so again, where it's a work in progress. We can get excited, and for about 30 seconds, we could enjoy that victory and get over it and move on to the next one. So we have a tough battle, but you know, it was a great victory. We shot well, we defended well. We did everything that we practiced. We played like we practiced. So, you know, we hopefully we'll continue to practice hard, and hopefully we can go over to Pensacola and compete again, and maybe be one of the first teams that gets one on the road. We're certainly going to try and be the first to do that this week. So we'll see, but it's going to be an awfully tough challenge.
It'll be tough. And so now Taylor put up 30 that night for you, and most of the fourth quarter didn't play.
Right.
So a big night for her. Now, Herman and I talked about Lasagna Edwards had 14 points, but she had some very, very some great moves in that low post.
I thought her and Jalea both. You know, we had talked about we didn't even get a three-point play in the Tallahassee game in the post, and we got fouled and we went to the line, but we never did get a three-point play. So it means we weren't playing very aggressively and just weren't fighting through the fouls. And you know, and I think Jalea Dunlap had three-point plays against Northwest. So. Lasagna and Jalea both, they definitely changed their mentality and went after a very good post game of Northwest. They've got good size, good thickness, and they defend well. So I thought that our post players really, really took on that challenge and performed probably as well or better than we have all season in the post.
Yeah, they look good. Both of them went down in the post. And so Bennett with 13, kind of a quiet night for Bennett. But still getting used to playing at the Panhandle Conference
I was about to
level.
say, she's trying to add to her game, and you know, and here's a freshman who's just continuously coming off the bench and giving us, you know, long range shots and giving us good play and managing it. And you know, we've got her playing two different positions, and so she's given us some great play for the fact that we're asking a lot of a freshman in this particular Panhandle season.
So it is tough, and for the most part. The only Lady Raider in double figures was Lewis with 17.
Yeah, what a player. What a nice, long, wiry, tall guard that can shoot the three, take you off the dribble. And, yeah, so that was probably a good thing. You know, you don't want anybody getting double figures, but to only have one, that's pretty special defensively.
That says a lot defensively.
Yeah.
And Lewis had 5 threes that night. So, but to hold everybody else to single digits is quite a defensive effort.
Yeah, that was a good and you know, and she's just a special player. I think we only gave her, you know, 2 uncontested shots where she had a good clean look, and the rest she earned them and shot them, and she's just a tremendous athlete and a tremendous player, and we probably better feel good that she didn't score more than she did.
So if we look at that, so Lady Commodores bounce back. Now, Wednesday night we traveled over to Pensacola State College, and they're 16-2 right now, and 1-1 in the Panhandle Conference, ranked number 4 in the state coaches poll, and ranked number 10 in the NJCAA national poll.
Yeah.
Because all 5 Panhandle Conference on the ladies' side are ranked 1 through 12.
Yep.
And that top 12 in the country. So every night will be a battle. So what do we expect over there?
Well, they're very, very quick. The guards, a lot of full court pressure. It'll be probably more than Tallahassee. A lot of full court pressure, quick hands, quick feet, a little bit undersized, but they just throw a lot of guards at you, and they're going to come at you hard offensively and defensively. They're going to, you know, just come at you full court for 40 minutes, and then we're going to have to handle that pressure and attack and shoot the ball well. And we've not been known to go to Pensacola and have great offensive shooting nights, so we'll see if we can do a little different there. And you know, and they've done something that we couldn't do. They beat Tallahassee, so we have to look at each team and look at what they can do to exploit some of our weaknesses, and then they definitely have some weapons to make us look bad in some areas. So hopefully we can hide them, and maybe they won't play as well as they have in preseason.
Well, that was our side. Let me look right quick. And if we look down there, their main scores, they got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all averaging double figures.
Oh, yeah.
You know, points per game, we're both right there.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, it's exactly, well, no, it's 86.5 compared to 85.7.
Yeah.
So we're both right there. But on the other hand, you know, they put up 100 points a night too.
Yeah. Yeah, in their house, and they're undefeated at their house this year. So, we'll see. We're going to go compete, and we're all excited to be in the Panhandle Conference. It's kind of interesting. Even the men's coaches who, don't normally talk about the women's game, or women talk about the men. We're all kind of interested in each other's games, and several of the men's coaches have said, "Boy, your women's league is really going to be special this year." I'm like, yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, and so the challenge is. For a coach who's been in a long time, it's a different challenge. For every single Panhandle team to already have a loss, I would say that's the first time in history at this point in the Panhandle play.
And sorry, go ahead, Coach.
So it's just going to be exciting, and we're going to go in their house, and we're going to try to do something that nobody else has done to them this year, is try to beat them at their place. So we'll see. We're going to try to give it our best shot.
Because, let Commodore fans know, they defeated Tallahassee in their place in their Panhandle Conference, 189.
Absolutely.
And then traveled over to Northwest Florida and lost there,
Yep.
71-67 in a close game.
Yep.
And if we look at all of that, and it's always been a tough place to play for some reason or other when we go to Pensacola.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Maybe we can break history there. A lot of history been broken on the negative side, but maybe for the Lady Commodores we can break a little history, and for the first time this season is try to knock them off in their home floor. So we're ready for the challenge, and all you can do is when you walk away say you gave it your best effort, and I feel confident that. We may not play well, but we're going to play hard. We'll
play hard. And so if we look at the Panhandle Conference standings right now, there's only one game out of first place
Right.
and last place.
I know.
So that's what Coach was talking about. Gulfcoast 2-1, Chipola 1-1, Pensacola 1-1, Northwest Florida 1-1, and Tallahassee 1-2.
Yeah.
And it is unusual for that many losses in the first round.
No, absolutely.
It could be, and I hope it's not that way, that everybody could finish 6-6. They win all their home games, lose all their road games.
Absolutely.
And so then I'm not sure how we would figure out who would go to the state tournament.
It would be interesting. I don't know, we'd make it a state tournament. We'd have to spend the whole 2 weeks trying to figure out who was supposed to get there in the first place. It'd already be over.
And so that was the thing there. If we look at the state coaches poll, Gulf Coast ranked 1, Chipola 2, Tallahassee 3, Pensacola 4, and Northwest Florida is number 6. That shows what it's like.
Yeah.
And the new national poll should come out sometime later today, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But those folks that do those polls realize that day in and day out, y'all are playing a nationally ranked team.
Yeah.
Some places don't play that many. You played not a lot of nationally ranked teams pre-conference, and now in the Panhandle Conference every night.
Oh, absolutely. It'll be interesting. I think the Panhandle will hold a little bit as best they can with, they're definitely going to be looking at on the road versus, the separational score. So, things that you say, oh gosh, I wouldn't normally do that. You kind of have to consider those things this year, especially with these new at-large and opportunities. So now you have to look at, your point spread. You have to look at whether you got the win at home or whether you took a bad loss at home. I think all that's going to be a factor as this season plays out. So we have to pay attention to all the little details.
So that'll make it exciting. We'll bring you the game Wednesday night, Commodore fans, from Pensacola State College on WKGC 90.7 FM and HD. So for Coach Scovel, I'm James Baxley. Thanks for watching, Commodore fans, and we'll see you next time on the Commodore Sports Network.
This has been Coach's Corner with your host, James Baxley.